Let's begin with a simple truth. Your voice is one of your most powerful leadership tools, and yet most people never learn how to use it. Think about the voices that have moved you, the speeches that stirred your heart, the leaders who captured your attention in seconds. They didn't just talk. They didn't just inform. They inspired, commanded, shifted rooms. What? Because their voices carried something deeper: authority, authenticity, presence, and power. But here's the secret: they weren't born that way. They practiced. They failed. They evolved. And now so can you. Your voice is more than sound. Your voice isn't just sound moving through air. It's an expression of your inner clarity, conviction, and confidence. Every time you speak, people are making snap decisions about you. Can I trust them? Do they know what they're talking about? Should I follow their lead? And often these judgments come before you finish your first sentence. The words you choose, the tone you use, the pauses you allow, all of it either builds trust or chips away at it. That's the hidden language of leadership. Leadership lives in communication. Look at history's most influential leaders, from business titans to civil rights icons, from political revolutionaries to spiritual guides. Their strength didn't just lie in ideas. It lay in their ability to communicate those ideas to others. Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Nelson Mandela, Brené Brown, Barack Obama, Angela Merkel, Simon Sinek, Malala Yousafzai. They moved people. Not with volume, but with vision and voice. They understood this fundamental law. If you can't speak like a leader, you can't lead. And this isn't about being loud. It's not about being dominant or charismatic in the traditional sense. It's about connecting with clarity, projecting purpose, and speaking with intentional influence. Why most people struggle to be heard. Now more than ever, we live in a loud world. Everyone is speaking. Few are truly being heard. Most people speak to fill space. Leaders speak to create impact. Most people speak to prove something. Leaders speak to move someone. The problem is that no one teaches us how to use our voice as a leadership instrument. We're taught to speak clearly, maybe professionally, but rarely persuasively or powerfully. So what happens? We hide behind hesitation. We ramble. We soften our authority. We use filler words like just or I think. We rush through our points. And slowly, without knowing it, we train people to tune us out. But what if you could reverse that? What if your voice became your greatest asset? What if you could walk into any room, sit at any table, stand on any stage, and speak like a leader? This audiobook is your blueprint. This audiobook isn't about sounding perfect. It's not about imitation. It's about learning to sound like the most powerful version of yourself. Through these 10 chapters, you'll learn how to speak with authority without arrogance, how to choose words that land with precision, how to use silence, storytelling, and tone as strategic tools, how to manage conflict and lead through crisis with your voice alone, how to listen like a leader and inspire like one too. You don't need a fancy title to speak like a leader. You just need intention, awareness, and practice. And that practice starts now. One voice can change everything. The greatest revolutions, transformations, and breakthroughs in history, they didn't start with a plan or a policy. They started with a voice. One voice that dared to speak when silence was easier. One voice that told a new story. One voice that helped others find their own. Your voice holds that same potential. So the only question that matters is this: are you ready to talk like a leader? Let's begin. Chapter 1: The Voice of Authority. It starts with presence. Leadership doesn't begin when you open your mouth. It begins the moment you enter the room. Before the first word is spoken, before the first point is made, people are already forming opinions about you, about whether you should be listened to, whether you're someone they can follow. That's why presence is everything. It's invisible, but unmistakable. What is presence? Presence isn't about being loud. It's not about dominating space. It's about commanding quiet attention without needing to demand it. Presence is what makes people turn toward you without understanding why. It's the difference between someone who says they're in charge and someone who simply is. Think of leaders you admire. Do they rush, fidget, speak too quickly? Or do they exude calm, clarity, and grounded energy? That calm is no accident. It's presence. And you can develop it. Part 1: Grounding your physical presence. Let's start with the body. Your physical posture is the first message you send. Here's how to make it speak authority. Stand tall. Imagine a string pulling you up from the crown of your head. Straighten your spine. Uncross your arms. Closed-off posture creates mental walls. Open posture signals readiness. Relax your shoulders. Tension travels through your voice. Release it. Plant your feet. Don't shift around. Stay rooted. When your body is calm, the mind follows. And when the mind is calm, your words carry weight. Practice this before meetings, before calls, even before entering a room. Leadership presence begins in the nervous system. Regulate yours, and others will feel it. Part 2. Breathing like a leader. Here's a secret most people never learn. Your breath determines your voice. Shallow, rapid breathing creates anxious speech. Deep, diaphragmatic breathing produces a resonant, calm voice, one that others naturally trust. Take a moment now. Inhale slowly through your nose. Hold. Exhale fully through your mouth. Repeat that 3 times before every high-stakes conversation, presentation, or negotiation. You'll be surprised how much more in control you feel, how much more presence you carry. Part 3. Slowing down to speed up respect. Here's something powerful. Leaders do not rush. They're not in a hurry to prove anything. They know that slowing down creates space. Space creates clarity. Clarity creates respect. When you talk too fast, it communicates insecurity. When you pause, when you breathe between points, when you speak slowly and clearly, it tells people, I believe in what I'm saying. You should too. Try this. Before saying something important, pause for 1 full second. Let your first words land without rushing into the next. End sentences cleanly. Don't trail off. Don't mumble. Own your words. Let them land like stone, not sand. Part 4. The eyes have authority. Your eyes are the fastest way to establish connection and command. Leaders don't avoid eye contact. They use it like a scalpel. To emphasize key points. To read the room. To invite accountability. Here's a practical technique. Look at one person long enough to complete a sentence. Then shift. Avoid scanning or darting around. That signals nervousness. Hold the gaze with warmth, not intimidation. And when speaking virtually, look into the camera, not at your screen. Make the listener feel as if you're speaking directly to them. Part 5. The inner game of presence. Let's go deeper. Because presence isn't just physical, it's mental. You cannot fake presence. People will feel it if you're distracted, self-doubting, or trying to impress. That's why inner work is the real work. Before you speak, ask yourself, what do I want to give here? Not what do I want to get? What impact do I want to create? How can I serve the moment, not dominate it? Leaders who center themselves in service, rather than ego, carry presence that transcends charisma. It's not about trying to be impressive. It's about being intentional. When your energy is focused outward, on impact, on truth, on clarity, people feel drawn in. They listen. They lean forward. They follow. Presence is a daily practice. Presence isn't something you either have or you don't. It's a muscle. You build it. Every time you enter a room with awareness. Every time you pause before speaking. Every time you sit with discomfort instead of filling silence with noise. And here's the truth. The people who speak like leaders are the ones who've practiced feeling like leaders even when no one was watching. Pause for a moment. Breathe deeply. Now ask yourself, if I walked into a room right now, would my energy speak before my voice? If not yet, good. Because presence is something you build one breath, one pause, and one intention at a time. You don't have to be the loudest voice in the room. You just have to be the one everyone wants to listen to. Chapter 2. Words that command respect. The world listens differently to leaders. Their words weigh more. Their phrases linger. And it's not because they speak louder, it's because they speak with authority. If you want to be heard, followed, and remembered, your language must reflect leadership. That begins with using words that command respect. Let's explore how. 1. Drop the language of doubt. Weak leaders qualify their every sentence with uncertainty. They say, I just think maybe we could. I'm not sure if this makes sense, but hopefully this won't be a problem. Now compare that to the voice of authority. I recommend we move forward with this solution. Based on the data, this is the best approach. Here's what we'll do. Notice the difference? Words like just, maybe, kind of, and hopefully are credibility killers. They shrink your impact. They make you sound unsure, even when you're not. Leader tip. Record yourself in conversation. Play it back. Count the hedging words. Then start removing them from your vocabulary. 2. Use command language, not permission language. Leadership is not about asking for permission to lead. It's about owning the responsibility of direction. Weak phrase. Would it be okay if we? Can I suggest something? Command phrase. Let's move ahead with. Here's my suggestion and here's why it works. Even when you're not the official leader, you can speak like one. Use words that project initiative. Take ownership of the next move. And remember, assertiveness is not aggression. It's clarity without apology. 3. Replace vague language with precise, concrete words. Leadership lives in clarity. The more specific your language, the more powerful it becomes. Instead of, "We need to work on communication," say, "We need to reduce response time by 50% and increase weekly team updates." Instead of, "Let's improve our culture," say, "Let's start each team meeting by recognizing one success and one challenge." That builds trust. Specificity equals credibility. Vague words fade. Precise ones stick. 4. Frame ideas using action verbs. Your choice of verbs can either inspire action or invite inaction. Weak verbs: try, hope, think, guess. Strong leadership verbs: execute, deliver, launch, decide, implement, compare. "I think we should maybe try this strategy," with, "Let's implement this strategy and measure the results." You feel the shift, don't you? When you use verbs of decision and action, people see you as a driver, not a drifter. 5. Structure your speech like a leader. Even how you organize your words matters. Strong leaders structure their communication in a clear, persuasive format. Start with a clear point: "Here's what we're doing." Back it with logic: "Here's why it works." Frame the outcome: "Here's what success will look like." Example: "We're launching a new customer feedback system. It will give us real-time insight into customer satisfaction and allow our team to respond 3x faster. This means fewer complaints, higher loyalty, and stronger retention." That's leadership speaking. 6. Repeat core phrases intentionally. Leaders don't say something once and hope it sticks. They repeat strategically. Craft a short phrase that summarizes your idea. Then use it often. Example: "This is about clarity, speed, and trust." Say it in meetings, emails, conversations. That phrase becomes a verbal anchor, a rally cry. People follow what they remember, and they remember what's repeated. 7. Use tone and tempo to underscore authority. Words are not just what you say, they're how you say them. Speak slightly slower than normal to increase gravity. Use downward inflections to signal finality. Pause briefly before and after key phrases for emphasis. Think of your voice like punctuation. Use your tempo and tone to give your words weight. Example: "This isn't optional. It's essential." Pause. "Here's what we're going to do." That's how leaders mark their words with purpose. 8. Build a power phrase library. Start building your leadership language arsenal. Use phrases like, "Let's clarify what success looks like." "What's the measurable outcome?" "We're not reacting, we're leading." "Let's align before we act." "What's the strategic intent here?" These phrases show that you're not guessing, you're guiding. 9. Know when to be brief. Brevity is authority. Leaders don't ramble. They get to the point. When you eliminate fluff, your message cuts through. When asked for your opinion, don't give a 5-minute explanation. Say, "I recommend we pivot toward X because it aligns with Y. Let's execute." People respect those who value time, especially in high-stakes environments. 10. Speak from purpose, not performance. Finally, the most powerful language comes from leaders who speak with conviction, not performance. This isn't about sounding smart. It's about being clear, calm, and certain. If you believe in your message, if your words reflect your mission, if your intention is service, not ego, your words will resonate. Because people don't follow perfection. They follow authentic conviction. Chapter 3: Mastering the Art of the Pause. In a world addicted to speed, the pause is your secret weapon. We rush to speak, rush to answer, rush to fill the silence. But true leaders? They don't rush. They command the moment, and the moment listens. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a room where someone said very little, but when they spoke, the entire energy shifted? That's not luck. That's mastery of the pause. Let's break this down. Why pauses matter, the science and psychology. When you speak, your listener's brain processes not only your words, but the rhythm, tone, and silence between your words. Here's what research tells us. A brief pause before a key message increases retention. A pause after a powerful statement adds gravity. Strategic silence creates anticipation, which activates the brain's attention system. Pauses slow down the conversation without weakening your message. In fact, they sharpen it. Pausing builds authority. People equate fast talking with nervousness. They equate calm speech with confidence. Listen to world leaders, visionary CEOs, or skilled trial attorneys. They don't rush. They measure their words. They say, "This decision changes everything." Not, "This decision changes everything." Feel the difference? The pause adds weight, makes people lean in. The power pause technique. Here's a simple exercise that will instantly elevate your speech. Record yourself talking about a topic you know well. Play it back and listen for filler words, like. Now re-record, but every time you feel the urge to use a filler, pause instead. Replace clutter with clarity. It's uncomfortable at first, but it builds muscle. The muscle of intentional speech. Pausing as a grounding tool. Leadership often comes with pressure. Questions fly. Emotions flare. Decisions loom. In those moments, pausing isn't just a speaking tactic. It's a tool for mental clarity. Before responding in a tense meeting, take one full breath. Just one. That tiny moment can prevent a poor reaction. It gives your rational mind space to re-enter the conversation. A leader who pauses leads the room. Even in silence. The emotional impact of pausing. People remember how you made them feel, not just what you said. A pause creates space for emotion. It allows pride to rise after praise. It allows concern to settle in during tough conversations. It allows vision to resonate during inspiration. In a sense, your pauses are where leadership lives. Not just in words but in what surrounds them. Final word, the silence that leads. Let's flip the script. What if silence isn't the absence of leadership? What if it's the evidence of control, power, and poise? To pause is to lead the tempo. To own the space. To signal to everyone in the room. This is not rushed. This matters. And I know exactly what I'm doing. So the next time you're about to speak, pause. And let your silence say what your words cannot. Chapter 4. Emotional Intelligence in Speech. When we think about leadership, the first things that come to mind are often strategy, vision, or decisiveness. But there's a quieter, often overlooked skill that separates good leaders from great ones. Emotional intelligence, especially when it comes to how they speak. Emotional intelligence in speech means being aware of your own emotions, and the emotions of those listening to you, and using that awareness to shape your communication. Why does this matter? Because words alone aren't enough. The way you say something, your tone, your pacing, your energy, carries emotional weight. And that emotional weight can either build trust or create distance. What emotional intelligence sounds like. Imagine two leaders giving the exact same instruction. The first leader speaks sharply, with impatience in their voice, rushing through the message. The team feels pressured, anxious, maybe even defensive. The second leader speaks calmly, with warmth and understanding. They acknowledge challenges and invite questions. The team feels supported, motivated, and safe to share their concerns. Same words. Completely different outcomes. The 4 pillars of emotional intelligence in speech. Self-awareness. Before you speak, check in with yourself. What emotions are you feeling? Stress? Excitement? Frustration? Being aware helps you control your tone, so your emotions don't accidentally dominate the conversation. Example: if you're frustrated about a project delay, take a deep breath and pause before speaking. Choose words that focus on solutions rather than blame. Self-regulation. This is about managing your emotions to communicate clearly and effectively. Leaders who regulate well don't snap or raise their voice when tensions rise. Instead, they stay calm, measured, and deliberate. Tip: when you feel triggered, slow down your speech and lower your volume slightly. It signals calm and control. Empathy. This means tuning into the feelings of your listeners. Are they worried? Confused? Excited? Empathy helps you adjust your message so it resonates. Example: if your team looks stressed during a meeting, acknowledge it. I know this has been a tough week. Let's talk about how we can make things easier. Social skills. This pillar is about building rapport and connection through your words. It includes listening actively, responding thoughtfully, and encouraging open dialogue. Your action challenge. Right now, take a moment to reflect on your last conversation where things felt difficult or tense. How did you sound? What emotions were you communicating, intentionally or unintentionally? What could you do differently next time to bring more emotional intelligence into your speech? Remember, emotional intelligence isn't about being perfect. It's about being present. Chapter 5. Storytelling that moves people. Stories are the oldest and most powerful form of communication. Long before we had speeches, meetings, or PowerPoint slides, humans connected through stories. And even today, in the age of data and information overload, stories remain the gateway to hearts and minds. Why? Because stories don't just inform, they transform. When leaders share a story, they invite others into a journey. They move beyond facts and figures to something deeply human and memorable. The science behind storytelling. Research shows our brains are wired to respond to stories. When you tell a story, listeners release oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which helps build trust and empathy. Stories create emotional connections, making your message stick longer and feel more real. Storytelling is leadership in action. Think about the great leaders you admire. What makes their speeches unforgettable? Martin Luther King Jr. didn't just talk about civil rights. He painted a vision of equality with the words, "I have a dream." Steve Jobs didn't just unveil products. He told stories about innovation and changing the world. Oprah Winfrey doesn't just give advice. She shares personal stories that inspire millions. Each of them understood, facts tell but stories sell, ideas, values, and vision. Using storytelling in different leadership scenarios. In a team meeting, share success stories from team members to boost morale and motivate. In a presentation, use stories to explain complex ideas simply and memorably. In conflict resolution, share personal stories that demonstrate empathy and understanding. In vision casting, paint vivid pictures of the future to inspire action. A storytelling exercise to try. Think of a recent challenge you or your team faced. Break it down into the 4 steps. Setup, struggle, solution, significance. Practice telling the story aloud until it feels natural. Try recording yourself or sharing it with a friend. Notice their reactions. Do they feel drawn in? Do they remember your message? Remember, stories are not just entertainment, they're the vehicle for transformation. When you talk like a leader, your stories become the bridge between vision and reality, between you and those you lead. So next time you want to inspire, influence, or ignite action, tell a story. Tell it well. And watch how your words move mountains. Chapter 6. The Leader's Listening Game. When we think about leadership, the spotlight often shines on speaking, inspiring speeches, decisive commands, powerful presentations. But the secret that separates good leaders from great ones is not just how they talk, it's how well they listen. Listening is the unsung superpower of leadership. Why listening matters. Imagine a leader who only talks. They might sound confident, but they soon become disconnected. Decisions fall flat. Teams feel unheard. Innovation stalls. On the other hand, a leader who listens builds trust, uncovers hidden insights, and empowers others to contribute their best. Listening fuels influence. It's the foundation on which respect is built. What is true listening? True listening is far more than hearing words. It's about understanding, fully and deeply. It means giving your full attention without distractions. It means observing tone, body language, and emotion behind the words. It means suspending judgment and truly opening your mind. When you listen like this, you step into the other person's world. You see through their eyes and feel through their heart. How to listen like a leader. Let's break down the essential habits that turn listening into a powerful leadership tool. 1. Be present. Stop multitasking. Silence your phone. Close your laptop. Look directly at the speaker. Presence is a gift. When you show someone they have your full attention, you honor them. That simple act opens doors. 2. Use body language to show you're listening. Nod occasionally. Maintain eye contact. Lean slightly forward. These small cues tell the speaker, "I hear you. Keep going." Avoid crossing your arms or looking away. These can signal disinterest or defensiveness. 3. Reflect and paraphrase. After someone shares, repeat back in your own words what you heard. For example, "So what you're saying is, this sounds important because." This technique does 2 things. Confirms you've understood. Shows the speaker they're valued and understood. 4. Ask open-ended questions. Instead of yes/no questions, invite deeper insight. Questions like, "Can you tell me more about that? What do you think is the root cause? How would you approach this differently?" This encourages exploration and reveals more than surface-level answers. 5. Listen for emotions, not just facts. Sometimes what's left unsaid speaks loudest. Tune into feelings behind words. Frustration, excitement, fear, hope. Acknowledging emotions builds connection. Try saying things like, "I sense this is frustrating for you. It sounds like you're really passionate about this idea." 6. Resist the urge to interrupt. Your instinct might be to jump in with solutions or opinions. Hold back. Let the other person finish. Silence can be uncomfortable, but it's powerful. Often, people reveal their deepest thoughts in the moments after a pause. The impact of listening leadership. When you listen like this, you create a space where people feel safe, valued, and motivated. Teams become collaborative. Creativity flows. Conflict resolves faster. Decisions improve. People begin to trust not just what you say, but the fact that you hear them. Practice this daily. Listening is a muscle. Like any muscle, it grows stronger with practice. Start meetings by asking, "What's on your mind?" When someone talks, count to 3 before responding. End conversations by summarizing key points. Over time, your voice will carry more than words, it will carry the power of understanding. Remember, great leaders don't just lead by speaking, they lead by listening. Your ability to listen well is your gateway to influence, connection, and real leadership. Master the listening game and the world will lean in to hear your voice. Chapter 7. Handling conflict like a commander. Conflict is inevitable. It's the one constant in every team, every workplace, every relationship. But how you handle conflict, that's what separates a leader from a bystander. A true leader doesn't shy away from confrontation or try to bulldoze through it. Instead, they approach conflict like a commander on the battlefield, with calm strategy, clear communication, and unwavering confidence. Why conflict matters in leadership. Conflict isn't just a problem to be avoided. It's an opportunity, a chance to build trust, foster innovation, and clarify values. But if mishandled, conflict can destroy morale, derail progress, and fracture relationships. Your voice becomes your greatest weapon in these moments. The words you choose, your tone, and your body language all work together to either escalate tension or de-escalate it. Step 1. Stay grounded, control your emotional temperature. When conflict arises, your first job is to stay calm. Imagine you're the captain of a ship during a storm. Panic leads to chaos. Calm creates clarity. Take a deep breath. Slow your speech. Lower your voice. By speaking softly and steadily, you diffuse the tension. People instinctively mirror the emotional cues of their leader. If you stay grounded, they are more likely to follow suit. Step 2. Listen to understand, not to respond. In conflict, many leaders make the mistake of waiting for their turn to speak, rather than truly listening. Here's the difference. Listening to respond is defensive. Listening to understand is disarming. Use phrases like, "Help me understand your perspective." "What's important to you in this situation?" "I want to hear your full story." When people feel heard, their defensiveness drops. Their walls come down. This opens the door for real dialogue. Step 3. Use I statements to take ownership. Avoid blaming or accusatory language, which puts people on the defensive and escalates conflict. Instead, frame your feelings and concerns using I statements. For example, "I feel concerned when deadlines are missed because it affects the whole team. I want to find a way we can work together better." This shifts the focus from attacking to collaborating. Step 4. Ask questions that invite solutions. Conflict isn't about winning an argument. It's about finding a way forward. Use open-ended questions to guide the conversation toward resolution. What can we do differently to avoid this next time? How can I support you to meet our goals? What would success look like for you in this situation? Questions give people agency. They transform conflict into collaboration. Step 5. Set clear boundaries and expectations. As a leader, it's your responsibility to set boundaries. If behavior crosses a line, address it firmly but respectfully. Say things like, "I expect our conversations to remain respectful, even when we disagree. Let's focus on the problem, not personal attacks. Here's what we need to do next." Clear expectations create safety. They prevent conflict from spiraling out of control. Step 6. Know when to pause and when to escalate. Sometimes the best leadership move is to hit pause. If emotions are running too high, suggest a break. Let's take a moment and revisit this after we've had time to reflect. If the conflict involves deeper issues or repeated patterns, escalate appropriately. Bring in HR, mediators, or higher leadership, but always communicate this step with transparency. Conflict is not the enemy of leadership, it is its proving ground. Speak like a commander and watch how your voice transforms tension into trust. Chapter 8. The Charisma Code, Speaking with Magnetism. Charisma. It's a word that sparks images of magnetic personalities, captivating speeches, and leaders who seem to effortlessly command attention wherever they go. But here's the truth. Charisma is not some mysterious gift you're born with. It's a skill, a combination of habits and choices, that anyone can develop. So what exactly is charisma? And how do you speak with it? At its core, charisma is energy transferred through your words, tone, and presence. It's the magnetic force that draws people in, holds their attention, and makes them want to follow you. Let's break down the essential elements of charismatic speech, so you can unlock your own natural magnetism. 1. Confidence, the foundation of charisma. Confidence isn't arrogance. It's a quiet assurance, a deep belief in what you're saying and who you are. When you speak confidently, your voice is steady and clear. You avoid fillers like or like. You speak at a comfortable pace, not rushed, not dragging. Imagine you're telling a story to a close friend. You don't stumble over your words or second-guess yourself. You simply share because you know your message matters. Confidence is contagious. When people hear it, they trust it, and that trust is the seed of charisma. 2. Passion, fuel your voice with emotion. Charisma thrives on emotion. Facts alone rarely move people. Emotion ignites connection. Think about your favorite speaker or storyteller. Chances are, you remember how they made you feel, inspired, excited, hopeful, or even challenged. Passion in your voice means using varied tones, rising with enthusiasm, lowering with seriousness, emphasizing key words to highlight importance, allowing your genuine feelings to come through, whether excitement or empathy. Don't be afraid to show your energy. Passion invites others to share it. 3. Presence, be fully in the moment. Charismatic speakers don't just talk at people, they talk with them. Presence means being fully engaged, attentive, and connected. When you speak, make eye contact. Use facial expressions that match your message. Let your body language support your words. Presence shows you care. It builds an invisible bridge to your audience, making them feel included and valued. 4. Vocal variety, the rhythm of charisma. Monotone voices lull listeners to sleep. Charismatic voices dance. Vocal variety means changing your pitch, moving between high and low notes, varying your speed, sometimes slow and deliberate, sometimes quick and lively, adjusting your volume, whispering to draw people in, raising your voice to emphasize urgency. Think of your voice as an instrument. The more you play with dynamics, the more captivating you become. Try this exercise. Take a sentence like, "We have a big challenge ahead," and say it 3 ways. Calm and steady, loud and urgent, soft and thoughtful. Notice which grabs your attention the most. That's vocal variety at work. 5. Smile, the simple magnet. It might sound small, but a smile changes everything. When you smile while you speak, your voice naturally becomes warmer and more inviting. Smiling helps reduce tension in your face and throat. Create a positive emotional state in both you and your listeners. Make your message feel more approachable. Even in serious conversations, a subtle smile can soften your tone and create connection. 6. Make others feel seen. Charisma isn't just about you, it's about others. The most magnetic leaders make every person feel like they matter. You can do this by using people's names, acknowledging their feelings and contributions, asking questions and listening attentively. When people feel noticed and valued, they naturally gravitate toward your energy. Practical tips to practice charisma today. Record yourself reading a short speech. Listen for monotone parts and add vocal variety. Practice smiling while speaking on the phone or to yourself in the mirror. Stand tall and breathe deeply before you speak to boost confidence. Tell a story to a friend, focusing on passion and presence. Remember, charisma is not about perfection. It's about being real in a way that draws others in. You have everything inside you to be magnetic. It's not magic, it's mastery. Speak with confidence, fuel your words with passion, be fully present, and let your voice carry the rhythm of your heart. When you do this, your words won't just be heard, they'll be felt. That is the power of the Charisma Code. Chapter 9. The Power of Repetition and Simplicity. In a world saturated with noise, clarity cuts through. The best leaders know that it's not about saying more. It's about saying what matters most and saying it in a way that can't be forgotten. We often assume that intelligence means complexity, that the more elaborate our language, the more impressive we sound. But the opposite is true in leadership. Simplicity is not a lack of depth, it's a sign of mastery. Why repetition works? Great leaders don't just state their message once. They drill it, anchor it, and echo it until it becomes part of the cultural DNA. Why? Because people don't remember what they heard. They remember what they've heard again and again. Think of the world's most powerful speeches. Yes, we can. Make America great again. I have a dream. Ask not what your country can do for you. They weren't long-winded. They were repeatable, shareable, sticky. Repetition isn't lazy, it's strategic. It's how movements are built. The science behind it. Repetition taps into the psychology of memory and persuasion. Neuroscience tells us that the brain creates stronger neural pathways the more something is repeated. Repetition literally rewires how people think. It builds familiarity. And familiarity breeds trust. Want to build belief in your message? Don't say it once. Say it clearly. Then say it again. And again. Until it becomes the truth people live by. The power of simplicity. Now, repetition alone won't make your words land. Simplicity is the other half of the equation. If people can't follow you, they won't follow you. Leaders who speak in long, complicated sentences lose their audience quickly. But when you use short, clear, concrete language, your message becomes repeatable, relatable, and resilient. Let's compare. Complex. We are attempting to optimize organizational alignment to maximize cross-functional efficiency. Simple. We're going to work better together. Which one would your team remember? Which one would you follow? Simple doesn't mean dumbed down. It means distilled. Boiled down to the essence. Clarity builds culture. When your people know what you stand for, and hear it consistently, they begin to echo it. They become ambassadors of your message. This is how cultures are shaped. Not through complex mission statements buried in company handbooks, but through simple truths repeated often, lived loudly. In simplicity there is strength. Repetition and simplicity aren't flashy. They don't always sound revolutionary, but they create results that are. They make your voice echo across rooms, across departments, across time. So the next time you prepare to speak, ask yourself, can a 10-year-old understand what I'm saying? Can someone repeat it after hearing it once? Will they remember it tomorrow? If yes, you're speaking like a leader. Because when your message is clear, and your voice is consistent, you don't just lead people, you move them. Chapter 10, Becoming the Voice People Follow. Leadership is not about volume. It's about value. It's easy to talk. But to talk in a way that people want to listen to? That takes intentionality, integrity, influence. To become the voice people follow, you need more than techniques. You need trust, truth, and timing. Let's break it down. 1. Speak from vision, not ego. People follow a voice that speaks of where we're going, not how great the speaker is. Ego says, listen to me because I know better. Vision says, come with me. We're building something greater than ourselves. Great leaders paint a picture of possibility. They don't talk down, they speak forward. Their voice is rooted in purpose. If you want to be followed, speak about the mission, not your status. 2. Make every word carry weight. People are constantly filtering out noise. If your words don't have value, they vanish in the air. Leaders speak with density. That means less fluff, more meaning. More signal, less noise. Every sentence has a purpose. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this worth someone's attention? Your voice should feel like a tool, not a stream of thought. Precision is persuasive. 3. Master your vocal identity. Your tone, cadence, and delivery are as important as the words themselves. Consider these 3 questions. Does your tone invite or intimidate? Do you speak too fast to be felt? Is your voice congruent with your message? A leader's voice is deliberate, strong yet calm, assertive but not aggressive. You don't need to sound like anyone else. You need to sound like the clearest, most confident version of yourself. Speak with values, not just volume. People follow leaders who are anchored. When your words are built on values, like integrity, transparency, empathy, your voice becomes a beacon, not just a broadcast. Say what you mean what you say, and live in alignment with both. When people trust the character behind your communication, they'll follow even when the path is uncertain. 5. Know when not to speak. Ironically, one of the most powerful aspects of a leader's voice is knowing when to be silent. Sometimes, a pause says more than a paragraph. A quiet presence in a storm builds more trust than loud direction. Holding space for others to speak shows strength, not weakness. Leadership is not about domination. It's about discernment. Speak when it matters, and let your silence carry strength when it doesn't. 6. Invite ownership, not obedience. The best leaders don't speak to control, they speak to ignite. Use language that creates buy-in. Let's build this together. Here's what I need from you. Your voice matters. Your goal is not to be the loudest in the room. It's to be the one who activates others. Speak in ways that hand people the pen to write their own part of the mission. 7. Leave echoes, not just impressions. Think back. The leaders who shaped you, what do you remember? It's not always what they said. It's how they made you feel. It's how they made you believe. It's what lingered after their voice left the room. This is your legacy. Speak words that echo, long after the meeting ends, long after the speech fades. Because in the end, your voice isn't just what people hear. It's what they carry. Your voice is your legacy. You now hold the tools to speak like a leader. But tools alone don't build monuments. Practice does. Courage does. And action does. Go out. Speak up. Be the voice that changes the room, the team, the future. This is your time. Speak like it.